want to just say a word from 2 Timothy chapter 4, verse 6 through 8. We probably all heard it before. Hear it now. It says, "For I am now ready to be offered. The time of my departure is at hand. I have fought a good fight. Watch now. I have finished my course. I have kept the faith. Henceforth there is laid up for me a crown of righteousness, which the Lord, the righteous judge, shall give me at that day." Hear it now. And not only me, but all of those that love his appearing.
Yes.
I want to just tag this little words of comfort. May the work I've done speak for me. May the work I've done speak for me. Jeff, I'm practicing a new beatitude, and that is, blessed are the brief, for they will be heard gladly. Amen. Amen. So the verses that I just read for you, to put them in context, the Apostle Paul is giving his final words and his testimony to his beloved son in the ministry, Timothy. He's surmising all of his work, all that he has done. He's summing it up, and he sums it all up with these few words: "I'm ready to be offered. The time of my departure is at hand. I fought a good fight. I finished my course. I've kept the faith. There is a reward for me in heaven that God's going to give me." And then he says, "But not just for me, but for all of those who are coming after me, who love his appearing also." And so what I simply want to do is just pull back the peelings of this text so that you and I can taste the fruit of comfort that is there. Paul says, watch now, "I am being poured out like a drink offering." But that simply means Paul is saying, I am the vessel and my life is the wine, and I'm pouring it all out in service to God. And you know, that's a word of encouragement. That's a word of inspiration after all that I've heard on today about your father, about your grandfather, about your friend and mentor, and that is his life was the vessel. And that gift of being an attorney, of being a community advocate, that was the wine that God had given him, and he poured it all out and left nothing left in the vessel. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Yeah. He says, "My life is the vessel, is the wine, and I offer all of it in service to God and in service to my community." But then hear the words of comfort. Paul says, "The time of my departure is at hand." Now, let me tell you what he has in mind. You got to see it in your mind. You got to picture it in your mind. He has a ship that is tied, hear it now, Jeff, to a dock, and the anchor has gone down into the water. And he says that death for me, death for the believer, death for me is like someone coming and loosing those ropes and pulling up that anchor and allowing the ship of my life to sail off into the horizon. Do you understand what I'm saying? It is a beautiful experience when you know that you love God, when you know you've given all you can on this side. Then you can just sail off into the horizon because you know you've left no stone unturned. You've left no life that came across your path untouched. You've left it all on the field, and I can just sail off into the horizon. Do you see it? But then this is what I want you to hear. Paul, he shifts his metaphor, and then he begins to talk about athletics. He begins to talk about competing in Olympic games. And so watch now, he pictures a wrestler fighting, a charioteer racing, and a runner running. Yes, can I break that thing down like a fraction real quick and I'll leave you alone? He pictures a wrestler fighting, a charioteer racing, and a runner running. Watch what he says. He says, I fought the good fight. Do you see it? I fought the good fight. Paul pictures here a wrestler wrestling, but it's not just that he's wrestling any old foe or wrestling any old opponent. No, Paul is saying, I fought the fight that mattered. Do you understand what I'm trying to tell you? Because you know there's some people that just go to fight for no reason whatsoever. They fight for any old reason. You look at them wrong, they ready to fight. You know, any old thing happens, they ready to fight. But there's some of us who knows that there are some fights that are worth fighting. There are sometimes you have to take a stand. And Paul says, I fought the good fight. When it was time to stand, I stood. When it was time to speak up, I spoke up. And this is the testimony of those of us who can say, may the work I've done speak for me. Why? Because I can say I fought the good fight. And I tell someone here today, the good fight is taking care of your children. All right? The good fight is caring about the well-being of your community. The good fight is speaking for those who have no voice. The good fight is standing for justice. The good fight is living with purpose and with meaning. That is the good fight. Paul says, watch now, I have finished my course. Now this is what's powerful. Paul is not simply talking about the finish line. He's talking about the course. Do you understand what I'm saying? And so many of us, we spend all of our time just worried about if I'm going to make it to the finish line. But I want to tell you, it's not just about making it to the finish line. It's about how you run the race. And all of us, my brother, my sister, have a course that God has given us. We have a race that we've got to run. And here's the blessed part, that you can't run my race and I can't run your race. All of us have got to run our own race. You know how some of us do. We spend all of our time looking at somebody else's lane, trying to see how they're running their race. But can I tell you, the way I run my race is not going to affect you. You're worried about how I'm running my race, but you got to keep your eyes on your own race. So make sure you stay on the course. That's what Paul is saying. He's saying, I didn't just finish the race. I didn't just run the course, but I stayed on the course. Do you understand what I'm saying? The course was made so that it would be complicated. So there was hills and there was twists and there was turns and there was curves in the course. And have you ever been there in your life? I believe if Dr. Burks could speak, he would say those words. There was some high terrains on the course, but I stayed on the course. There was some twists and turns in the road, but I stayed on the course. May the work I've done speak for me. And I want to encourage someone here today by telling you that all of us have a course assigned to our life. And what will be the testimony at the end of your life? All right? Is there work that God has called you to that you are leaving undone? Are there folk in your life that you need to call and say, you know what, I know we had our problems, but I'm done with that. I'm dropping it. Let's move on. Let's move forward. I'll forgive you. I'm sorry. And what are you going to do at the end of your life? What are you going to say about the course that God has given you to run? This is my favorite part. I must admit. He says, I've kept the faith. I'm almost finished. I kept the faith.
That's where it is.
Now watch now. Paul is not saying I stayed faithful. Here's what Paul's saying. He's not saying I stayed faithful. He's not saying I didn't give up. He's not saying any of that. He's saying I guarded the truth. He's saying I preached all of it. He's saying I didn't water it down. I didn't sugarcoat it. He's saying, here it is, that there is no diminishment in what God gave me and how it looked at the end of my life. Here's what he's saying. He's saying, he's picturing, the Olympic runner with the torch in his hand. He's got the fire, and the fire, he says, when they lit that joint was blazing and it was on fire. But sometimes during the course of the run, the fire begins to die down. The fire begins to diminish and the fire then goes out. But what Paul is saying is that when I got to the finish line, the fire was still burning hot. Do you understand what I'm saying? The flame of passion was still burning in my soul. And I don't know about you. I know that life has been hard. I know you're going through it right now. But listen, family, don't let the fire burn out. God has given you a purpose. God has given you meaning. And don't you let a hurricane or an ice storm or a flood stop that purpose or passion that God has placed in your life. Do you understand what I'm saying? My flame is still burning hot. Hear it now.
Come on, preach up.
Hear it now. I'm done. But Paul then extends the metaphor and says this. He says, there is a crown listen, laid up for me. He's saying, because I've done what God has called me to do. He said, I may not have got a whole lot of thank yous on this side. Oh, but I've got the most important thank you on the other side. And I wonder how many of us spend all of our time trying to please folk on social media. You understand what I'm saying? Want people to like and clap on social media but the real applause is what God is going to say about what you did with what he gave you. What did you do with that gift he gave you? With that mind that he gave you, with that time that he gave you. Listen to what he says. Watch, you gotta see it. He says, there was a crown laid up for me. But here it is. Jeff, you listening to me now? Here it is. He says, but not only me. Watch now, but also for those who are coming behind me, right? So just in case you miss what he says, he's picturing the relay races, and he said, my leg of the race is over, but I've got the baton, and I'm passing the baton to those who are coming behind me, and I run my leg of the race, but now it's time for you to run your leg of the race. Do you understand what I'm saying? I stood in the community, but now it's time for you to stand and look at. I made my voice heard, but now it's time for you to make your voice heard. Do you understand what I'm saying? If justice is going to be served, then you've got to take up the baton.
All right now.
If the less fortunate is to be cared about, you've got to take up the baton. It's not enough. Here it is. It's not enough to stand and cheer and celebrate and hoorah those who've come before us. It's not enough. We've got to take up the baton and keep running the race. Do you receive this word? Do you receive this word? Make the work to speak for me. And so now there was a little boy. His dad sitting in the church, sitting in the Sunday school, right? And when he came home from Sunday school, the daddy quite naturally wanted to know what he learned at church. And the dad said to him, "Boy, son, what did you learn at church?" The boy looked at his daddy and he said, "I learned about Andy." And the dad said, "I don't know what they're teaching at that church. I ain't never read about Andy in the Bible." And he said, "Son, say that again. What did they teach you at church?" And he says, "They taught me about Andy." The dad says, "Well, son, just tell me what they told you about Andy, and maybe I can understand it." And the boy looked at his daddy and he said, "Well, they told me Andy walks with me." And he talks with me. And he tells me that I am his own. And the joy we share while we tarry there, none other has ever known. Can I tell you about that man? There is no place, there is no season in life that you can find yourself that God does not promise to be in it with you. Do you know what I'm saying? That's And I want you to hear that tonight. God is in it with you.
Hallelujah.
When the load gets too hard, give it to him.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Tears well up in your eyes. It's all right. That's a part of being human. You're going to cry. But if you just give that part to him, it's not about carrying heavy loads, because all of us have heavy loads. It's about how you carry the heavy load. And can I make a recommendation? Let Jesus carry the heavy part. All right? Let us pray, and then I'll turn it over.